think in our new room we have to have cameras on screen to help people in the back, my pastor said. It was 2003 and I didn't know the challenges that statement would cause, but excited to try something new and happy to have a pastor who understood the need for video, I wholeheartedly agreed. If you find yourself in this situation, you need to make sure that you have adequate lighting, which we didn't, have at least 2 cameras with good tripods and or pan tilts, robotic camera mounts, a switcher, and a good communication system. Once you have the equipment installed and working, you need to have someone who can pull the whole thing together. In television, this is the job of the director. Sometimes in smaller venues, the director also does the job of the technical director, or TD, and presses buttons on the switcher. The director needs to understand how it all fits together, and has to be able to communicate it under pressure. In the secular world, people who do this can actually be quite mean. The motivation for production people to put up with this is money. Churches don't typically pay all their media personnel, so a mean director will quickly lose people from his or her team. It's often a mark of insecurity to yell at a member of your team for not doing the job exactly as you imagine it. Treat people like they matter, not like they're cogs in a machine. When I direct, I'm very encouraging. I think that if you tell people what they're doing right and address, but don't necessarily get angry about what they're doing wrong, you can really shape them into better artists. Make sure you understand the genre and what you're directing. If you want to learn to direct music, watch concert videos. Watch a lot of them. Watch ones by bands that you don't necessarily like so you don't get caught up in the show and forget to watch the how. I was going to advise you to watch with the sound muted, but I'm not sure that's a good idea, as some transitions and shots are entirely dependent on what's happening at the time. I would make sure that I didn't watch too many churches or Christian groups. Sadly, they often do a poor job. You want to learn from the best in this art, so you're aiming higher as you learn and don't settle. I hate that the locus of the best art isn't the church, as it should be, but it isn't. Let's do what we can to change that. Keep your audience in mind. IMAG directing is different from directing for DVD or television. You don't want to show people in the audience on screen very often at all. At the very least, they'll think, okay, look interested, don't look at the camera. At worst, they'll stare at the camera and wave. That's not what they're there for. If you're also directing for a satellite campus, video overflow, or the like, you might need to have a hybrid style that includes more wide shots than you normally pick for pure IMAG purposes. Learn to communicate with your people as succinctly and clearly as possible. It's easy to be clear in a long discourse. It's easy to say a sentence and not communicate the meaning you intend. Getting someone to understand what you meant in as few words as possible takes practice. If you can't say what you meant in 2 or fewer sentences, keep practicing. Always start with the camera number and then say what you want. Get me a shot of the piano camera too. Would work if you only have 2 cameras and one is on screen. If you've got 4 or 5, probably 2 or more cameras are going to try and get the shot before they realize that you weren't talking to them. Or no one will move until they're sure you're talking to them. Camera 2, get a shot of the piano. Tells camera 2 to listen. All the other cameras can ignore what's to follow. If camera 2 doesn't acknowledge, try to rephrase. Sometimes it's easy to get distracted. Plan ahead as much as possible. When I worked in television, the directors would get the script early and mark their shots so they only needed to say what was planned, not created during the heat of the show. Some church services are highly planned, but others are more loose. It might not be possible for you to create a list of all shots you want in the order you want them. I'd try to do it for specific elements, though. Some songs just require more planning than others. For a while, my church was doing a lot of performed songs by Kirk Franklin. They wanted the way the team was staged, it was with 3 groups of singers and a song leader. Most of the song was sung by one or a combination of those 3 groups. The leader would occasionally speak/rap something that needed to be shot as well. We had 3 cameras at the time, so it meant I had 3 cameras for 4 shots. I'd map the whole song out with one camera shooting what was being sung, another shooting what was next, and a third ready for what followed. Sometimes I was looking so intently at my notes I didn't see what was actually happening on the stage. In retrospect, I should have asked, not demanded, but asked for staging changes to make it easier. When we actually had Kirk and his group at our church, their singing was simpler than ours and much easier to cover, even though we hadn't had any practice with them. That story also tells you the final piece of the directing puzzle. Work with your team. I don't mean just that you should be working with your video team, but work with the whole production team to make this the best it can be. Don't insist on your way. There might be very good reasons why you need to do it in a harder way than you'd prefer. For example, if your lighting tech says that if you move a group of people, they'll be in the dark and moving lights isn't an option, your cameras couldn't see them anyway. Moving people makes it so that if moving people means it makes it so that someone has to run across stage in the middle of the song, it might be difficult to miss that with your camera. There are 1,000 reasons not to tweak things to make it easier for yourself, but always ask. It could be that a simple change that no one cares about, but that will make things better for you, can happen. Make sure you keep practicing. Live direction isn't easy to learn, but with time, you'll get much better at it.